Thank you, everyone, for joining the session. So our session today will be more focused on the Canvas accessibility checker. Um, this is agenda of that. We will just describe what do we mean by digital accessibility. Then we talk about common accessibility issues in Canvas. Like for example, while designing the courses, what are the some issues that we encounter in Canvas? And then we talk about Canvas accessibility checker, that how a Canvas accessibility checker can help in terms of taking care of all those issues. And in the very end, we will do some demo, depending on the time, how far we can go. We can at least try to resolve one or two issues by using our Canvas accessibility checker. So this is the agenda. Let me quickly jump to the digital accessibility. So when we talk about digital accessibility specifically in Canvas, what do we mean by that? So it's more about course accessible in terms of everything, like for example, Canvas course and the online content that is basically used in that Canvas course as well. It's more accessible, and that's the most important point, is regardless of the needs and abilities of the device and the learners as well. So for example, rather than thinking about whether they can really have do not have that ability, just making that accessibility a thing that should be done beforehand, rather than a reactive approach or something. This is how we are defining digital accessibility in Canvas. Um, in terms of common accessibility issues in Canvas, we can just divide it in different issues category, depending on which framework we are using. But here we are just talking about at least six issues that we find uh, are most common issues while in terms of Canvas, in terms of course design and course development, that we find out. The first one that we are calling it like text formatting. Some of the literature calls it like a heading as well, but we are calling it more on the text formatting as well. So whenever we talk about text formatting, it's more about using the text in a rightly format. So for example, if it's in heading, just using the appropriate heading structure. If it's a paragraph, then using that particular structure of paragraph as well. With the same thing, there's also a choice of colors and contrast as well. Like for example, what kind of colors that we can use and what should be the background or the contrast that we can offer, so that our text is visible and also accessible at the same time. Um, so that's more about the text formatting. The second bigger category is about hyperlinks. So in terms of hyperlinks, most of the times we may have seen that the whole URL has been pasted in Canvas course. So we need to take care of that, whether, rather than pasting the vague link or the whole URL in any Canvas site, just make it some meaningful text. For example, avoid using click here or link or something like that. So this is another major issue. So I'm just talking about the issues at the moment. We'll talk about the resolving those issues via Canvas accessibility checker later on. Another major issues that we can find in Canvas courses is about images and what we are calling also like alternative text with that. So either the images are not defined, and when I say defined, in terms of whether what is the purpose of that image in that particular Canvas course side. So for example, we can divide it either in the less, for example, if the images are using in terms of conveying any message, like the importance of that, or either they are like decorative image. So for example, if it's some kind of images that is useful, we need to provide the alternate text for that. And even in providing the alternate text, we should avoid using vague alternative text. So rather than so using the text that basically just conveys the message what this particular image has a purpose of it in that particular Canvas course. And decorative images, for example, if this is image that is basically not giving any kind of information and is not really necessary to convey more information about the lesson or about the course, we can categorize that in a big decorative image category. Another big issue that we can find is in tables. In terms of tables, what can be the issues? For example, sometimes we found that there are no header rows in the table. For example, and if it is there are header rows in the table, the rows and columns are more like a complex structure, so that once I think it has in terms of whether the table has been read by a screen reader. So what should be the flow of the table that basically makes it easy to provide that particular information. And last but not least, most of the time we try to use table for the layout purpose for making the information compact in one in terms of layout. However, in terms of accessibility, tables should be used just for the purpose of organizing data rather than just making the layout good or beautiful in that sense. So mostly the tables should use only data that is meaningful in some sense. Another major category that we found is media, and we're just touching a little bit of that. So, for example, in terms of Canvas, especially in terms of videos or audios, even the major issues that we can found is about the captions for the videos. There are some softwares, for example, the one that we are using, Panopto, is basically generate automatically captions as well. But for example, if we are not using that particular kind of software, this can be a major issue as well. We have to provide the captions for the videos as well. And audio transcripts is sometimes unavailable in any course site as well. Another major category, again, this I just put like it is where at the very end because it can depends on the person as well or on the designer as well, is more about the navigation and the course structure of the Canvas course. So, for example, um, somehow the Canvas course should not be designed in a way that it has disorganized navigation. So, for example, there should be a proper home page that may leads to other pages as well. And also sometimes what most of the instructors do, they just upload the files into the Canvas and in that particular thing, there can be lots of important information that can be just hidden that we could have utilized by using pages or the modules or something like that. So this can be a major common issues in Canvas. Last, I found this particular image and I thought that it is kind of a snapshot of what we have just covered. So for example, if you can see that, just try to make it a little bigger in some way if we can. So for example, headings, what should we take care of in terms of the essential steps for Canvas? Headings, links, color contrast, images, tables, and media. So this particular image kind of captures everything that we just talked about. Uh, Next one, I will ask Cash to take care from here, and Cash will be more talking about Canvas Accessibility Checker.
Thank you, Mohammed, and hello everyone. My name is Kash, and I'm going to show you how to use the Accessibility Checker tool in your course. To open this tool in your Canvas course, you can either use the accessibility link in the global navigation menu, or click the Check Accessibility button on the right-hand side of your course homepage. both options will take you to the same location. If you do not see the accessibility link in the global navigation menu on the left, go to Settings and select the Navigation tab at the top, and make sure the accessibility tool appears in the upper section. If it does not, click the three dots next to it and select Enable, and then Save. Once the tool is enabled, click on it to open it. When you open the accessibility checker for the first time, no content will be displayed. To begin, click the Scan Course button in the upper right corner or the center of the page. Depending on the number of pages and the amount of content in your course, this scan may take some time to complete. Please note that this tool does not check PDF files, Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, videos, or external files and tools associated with your course. It only scans content that has been created directly within Canvas course pages. The search field at the top allows you to search for a specific page within your course. The Filter Resources panel allows you to narrow down the results based on several criteria. You can filter resources by content type, publication status, and the types of accessibility issues you would like to review. You can also filter results based on when the content was last edited by selecting a specific date range. The next section displays a bar chart that summarizes accessibility issues by type and shows the total number of issues in each category. On the left, you'll also see an issue status box that displays the number of open and resolved issues across all pages in your course. Below that, you'll find a list of course resources based on the filters you selected earlier. The resource column displays the page title along with a link to open it. The issues column shows the number of accessibility issues identified on each page and includes a fix button which allows you to automatically apply Canvas's suggested fix when available. The type column identifies the type of content, such as a page, discussion, assignment, or other course resource. The state column indicates whether the item is currently published, and the last edited column shows when the content was most recently updated. Now let's fix some accessibility issues. To do so, locate the issue you would like to fix and click the Fix button next to the item. This will open a panel on the right-hand side of the screen. In this example, the issue is low contrast, which means the text may be difficult to read because there is not enough contrast between the text and the background color. This panel gives you two options. You can either click Edit to open the page and make the changes yourself, or you can resolve the issue directly within the accessibility checker. Here you can see the current contrast ratio being used, along with a description explaining the issue. The accessibility checker automatically identifies a recommended solution. In this case, it suggests changing the text color to white to improve contrast. If you prefer a different color, simply click the color box to open the color picker and choose another option. As you move through different colors, the tool will indicate whether the selected color passes or fails accessibility standards. Be sure to choose a color that passes all required standards. Once you've selected an appropriate color, click Change Text Color button, and the tool will automatically apply the update. If you scroll back up, you'll notice that the text is now much easier to read and more accessible. If the change is not what you are looking for, you can click Undo to revert the changes and restore the original content. When you're ready to continue, you have two options. If you'd like to address the issue later, click Skip. Otherwise, click Save and Next to save your changes and move on to the next issue. If there are no additional issues on that page, you'll see a confirmation message indicating that all accessibility issues on that page have been resolved. Now you can either move directly to the next resource from here or close this panel and select a different page to review and fix. For example, I'm going to open the class information page to see what accessibility issues have been identified there. As you can see, the issue identified here is a skipped heading level. If you click the question mark next to the issue, you'll see the additional information explaining what the issue is and why it is important to fix it. To resolve the issue, you have two options. You can use the Reformat button at the bottom of the panel to automatically correct the heading level, or you can click Edit Page to open the page in the Reach Content Editor and make the changes manually. Using Edit Page allows you to review the entire page, which can help you better understand how heading levels should be structured. Before fixing the heading levels, notice the number displayed on the accessibility checker icon in the Reach Content Editor. This number indicates how many accessibility issues have been detected on the page. In this example, the icon shows a 1, meaning there is one accessibility issue that needs to be addressed. Once the issue has been fixed, the number will disappear, indicating that there are no remaining accessibility issues on the page. Heading levels should follow a logical order and should not be skipped. In this example, the content skips heading level 3 and jumps directly to heading level 4, which is why the accessibility checker has flagged it as an issue. To fix it, simply select the heading, click the paragraph style drop-down menu in the toolbar, and choose the appropriate heading level. In this case, we would change the heading level from level 4 to level 3. Once the heading has been corrected, the accessibility checker icon will no longer display a number, indicating that all accessibility issues on this page have been resolved. Finally, scroll to the bottom of the page and click Save to apply your changes. Now return to the accessibility checker and click Update Report to refresh the report with the changes you just made. This process should only take a few moments. Once the report has been updated, take a look at the Issues status box. You'll notice that the number of unresolved issues has decreased by 1 and is now down to 6. Next, let's fix another issue, a misformatted list. In this example, dashes were used to create a list, but the screen readers do not recognize these as proper list items. To make the content accessible, the list needs to be formatted using Canvas's built-in bullet list feature. To fix the issue, you can either click Edit Page and update the formatting manually, or simply click the Reformat button. The accessibility checker will automatically convert the dashes into proper bullet points that can be correctly interpreted by screen readers. Once the issue has been resolved, click Save and Next to continue reviewing any remaining issues on the page. If no other issues need attention, you can close the panel and move on to another page or resource. The next issue involves a table that is missing both a table caption and table headers, which are important for screen reader users. A table caption provides a brief description of the table and helps users understand what information it contains. To add a caption, enter a short, meaningful description in the space provided and click Add Caption. Once added, the caption will appear above the table. If you prefer not to display the caption to sighted students, you can adjust that setting later in the table settings while still keeping the caption available to assistive technologies. After adding the caption, you can continue to the next issue, which is adding the appropriate table headers to make the table fully accessible. You can click the question mark icon to learn more about the table headers and why they are important for accessibility. Table headers help screen reader users understand the relationship between data cells and the information they represent. To fix this, the accessibility checker will ask which part of the table should be designated as the header. Depending on the structure of your table, you can choose either the top row, the first column, or both. In this example, the table contains a grade scale, so the top row serves as a table header. I'll leave the default option selected and click Set Headings. The table headers are now configured correctly, making the table easier for screen readers to interpret. Once you're finished, click Save and Next to save the changes and continue. If there are no additional issues associated with the table, the accessibility checker will move on to the next issue or resource. The next issue is related to missing alternative text, also known as alt text. Whenever you add an image to your course, you should provide alt text for it. Alt text is a brief description of an image that is read by screen readers, helping visually impaired users understand the image's content and purpose. If an image is purely decorative and does not convey important information, you can select the image as decorative. This tells the screen readers to skip the image so users are not distracted by content that does not add value. In this example, the image currently contains the file name as the alt text, which is not very helpful. Instead, we'll remove the file name and replace it with a short, meaningful description of the image. Click Apply when finished. Once you've entered the alt text, click Save and Next to save the changes and continue to the next accessibility issue. The last issue on the list is related to duplicate links found on the same page. In this example, the same link appears multiple times close together, which can be confusing for screen reader users. While the accessibility checker provides a merge links option, using it in this case would simply combine the linked text, which is not the best solution. Instead, click Edit Page to resolve the issue in the Rich Context Editor. Here we can see that the phrase "this link" is used multiple times. This is problematic because it is both repetitive and not descriptive. Screen reader users benefit from link text that clearly describes the destination of the link. To improve accessibility, reduce the number of times the same link appears on the page by removing any unnecessary duplicate links and keeping only one where appropriate. Next, replace the generic text "this link" with a meaningful description of the destination. To do this, click the linked text and select Link Options. In the panel on the right, change the display text to something descriptive, such as class information, and then click Replace. After updating the link text, make sure the spacing and formatting around the link look correct. When you're finished, click Save to apply your changes. Using clear, descriptive link text not only improves accessibility for screen reader users, but also makes navigation easier for all the students. Now return to the accessibility checker and click Update Report to refresh the report with the latest changes. Once the report has finished updating, you'll see that there are no remaining open issues in your course. This means that all Canvas pages in your course currently meet accessibility standards. As you continue updating and adding content throughout the semester, it's important to regularly review the accessibility checker to ensure your course remains accessible to all the students. The Center for Learning Innovation, CLI, is continuously developing resources and guidance to help you make all of your course materials accessible, including PDFs, Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, Excel files, and even videos. To learn more about digital accessibility and access additional resources, please visit the Digital Accessibility page on the CLI website. Thank you for taking the time to make your course content more accessible and inclusive for all learners.